Obviously coming at you with a new mock draft video today. First off, I just want to say thank you guys so much. You absolutely blew up one of my most recent mock draft videos. It's at almost 1,000 views, which is honestly ridiculous for how short of a time I've been doing this. So thank you so much. I have over 30 subscribers now, so hello, anyone new watching this. Leave a like on this video, it helps out a ton, and I'm trying to bring us all to championships this year. Let's go. I do have a full-time job though, so this is just something I can kind of do on the side, so it's hard for me to pump out videos every single day. Anyways, let's actually talk about this video. So I'm gonna be doing this one a little bit differently than the past. I got a request from my man Kesso718 to do a mock draft where there's 3 wide receivers instead of 2. Still gonna be a 10-team format, still gonna be half PPR, single quarterback. And I also think that this is a really good opportunity to kind of just talk about league formats and how that can impact your draft, because it's honestly one of the most important things to know about your league, and I think can go really underrated sometimes. Now, in the case of a 3 wide receiver league over a 2 wide receiver league, I don't think it makes that much of a difference. Obviously, it gives a little bit more emphasis to the wide receiver position, but at the same time, you don't want to like overcompensate and try to go too heavy with wide receivers early or not get depth at the running back. Now, there's other things like half PPR versus PPR. I think if you're watching my videos, you probably know the difference between that. If you don't, it's just half PPR, which most people, including myself, play in. You get half point per reception for anybody. Full PPR, obviously a full point. Standard, you get no points per reception. If you're in a standard league, switch that shit because it is terrible. Do not play in any standard leagues. It is the worst. Definitely play PPR over standard, no doubt about it. Obviously, pass catchers are more valuable, especially the running back position in those leagues. So while I have Jonathan Taylor #1 in my rankings, if I was in a full PPR league, I would probably be taking Christian McCaffrey because he catches the ball so much more. I'd definitely be taking Austin Eckler over Derrick Henry, things like that kind of. There's also another format called Superflex or 2 quarterback league. I don't play in any currently, but it's one of the most popular formats. This allows you to play 2 quarterbacks every single week, which makes your draft put a lot more emphasis on grabbing quarterbacks early. The times that I have done it, I've kind of tried to get my 2 quarterbacks within the first 4 rounds and try to get a 3rd quarterback who is a starter. Obviously, in the single quarterback leagues that I draft in and play in now, there's much less of an emphasis on the quarterbacks because you're only playing one of them. There's 10 to 12 teams in every single league, so there's only 10 to 12 quarterbacks being played every single week. Whereas in other leagues, obviously you're playing, 20, 24 quarterbacks. Somebody's going to have to play the 24th best quarterback every single week. And so if you can have a positional advantage there where you have 2 guys scoring 20, 25 plus points every single week, it's going to make a huge difference for you. So definitely always make sure that you know your league settings before you start your draft. It's going to completely change how you draft. There's also some more minor things where, if you're in a smaller league with like less flex positions, let's go with a kind of extreme example. If you're in an 8-man league, that's a normal format where it's 2 running back, 2 wide receiver, 1 flex. Everybody's going to have absolute studs in the running back, wide receiver, and flex position because there's going to be so much depth that if you can get, one of the top tight ends, one of the top quarterbacks, and really get a positional advantage there, it makes a huge difference. The leagues that I play in, a lot of them, if you've seen it in my drafts, they're 10-man leagues, 2 running back, 2 wide receiver, 2 flexes, so there's a little bit more depth. I know the standard normally is the 12-man league with a single flex spot. I kind of view it the same way as a 10-man league with 2 flex spots, at least like depth-wise. So it definitely takes away from the positional advantage you can get at quarterback or tight end because everyone's going to have a solid guy and not everyone's going to have a solid second flex spot. So if you can get positional advantage there, it makes a huge difference. It's just more examples of why knowing your league format is so important. So that's what we're here for. Set us up for success so we can dominate this year. Let's go. So with that said, let's get into this draft. It's going to be a 1 quarterback, 2 running back, 3 wide receiver, 1 tight end, 2 flex, 10-man league, half PPR. My boy Kesso said that he has Jonathan Taylor and going from the 1 spot. My last mock draft was from the 1 spot, so I'm going to go from the 2 spot. It's basically the same idea, kind of where you'll be in the draft, the similar type of people you'll go for. All right, let's get this thing going. Okay, so there's no shot Derrick Henry's going the 101 in any draft. It would be Jonathan Taylor, Christian McCaffrey. Regardless, I would have taken probably CMC since Jonathan Taylor normally going to be taken. Whoever falls to me there, regardless of the 3 wide receivers, I'm taking Jonathan Taylor or Christian McCaffrey, no doubt about it. I would consider Cooper Kupp after those 2 guys in this type of format. But again, you don't want to overthink it. Take your running backs. I'm going to take Jonathan Taylor here because he's here, so give me Jonathan Taylor here. Nice and easy. It also works out well because the man who requested this has Jonathan Taylor as his keeper in this league. So, yep, we still see a pretty standard first round. I don't know if changing the 3 wide receivers changes the ADP on Sleeper at all. I don't believe it does. So if we look at wide receiver here, we definitely see Debo as like the clear standout here. And I talked about in my last video, he definitely is a lot more intriguing to me now that he's signed his contract and he said that he's still going to be working from the backfield. So clear tier for him here. And if we look at all these running backs here, You know, I view Aaron Jones and Leonard Fournette and the top of this little tier right here. I'm super okay with getting any of them. And if it really comes down to it, I would be okay having Saquon. And this is where, you know, the 3 wide receiver can come in. That there's all these running backs here. You know, I like to get my running backs, but since there's only one guy left in this tier, I'll take Debo here, just solidify that wide receiver 1 role. Aaron Jones and Saquon, there goes. Aaron Jones and Saquon go. So that still leaves us Leonard Fournette, and you know, that's not really a risk, but it pays off super well for me. So I get a great start. I absolutely love this. Jonathan Taylor, Leonard Fournette, Debo Samuel. But I absolutely love getting Leonard Fournette as my running back 2 this year. This is another time where we can see a tier break here after Travis Etienne. I've really been growing on him, and if I can get to my running back 3, then I'm absolutely stoked on it. We see most of the elite tight ends, those top 3 have gone, so I'm definitely not going to be taking any there. A lot of quarterbacks have gone, so I'm not taking any there. We can look at our wide receiver because there's a really high chance that team 1 is going to be taking a wide receiver here since they got 3 quarterbacks. I don't know why I keep saying quarterbacks instead of running backs. They got their 3 running backs, so we can look at what they're going to take. I mean, I have Michael Pittman ranked the highest here, but it's not too different between DJ Moore, Mike Williams. There's a lot of guys that I still like here. Terry McLaurin. I've kind of been growing, not like falling off him. I still have him ranked in like my top 15, but he's a little bit lower, maybe 16. But it's kind of the same thing where there's one last guy in this tier of running backs here, and there's still guys in wide receiver that I like more than one. So I'll take my running back here, get my running back 3, absolutely solidify that. He goes Pittman and Terry, which means there's still good guys for me. I would be either taking DJ Moore or Mike Williams here. I would say Mike Williams is more risky, but definitely has higher upside, whereas DJ Moore probably doesn't have high as upside, but is a little bit more safe. And Debo Samuel, I do consider a bit risky just because last year was the first year he's ever stayed healthy. So I'm going to get someone a little bit safer. I have these guys ranked back to back in my rankings. So I'm going to go with DJ Moore here as my wide receiver 2. And I feel great about that. See, we see Darren Waller and 2 more quarterbacks go. That gives us some good value on the wide receivers. Oh, I was hoping Allen Robinson or Cortland Sutton or somewhere around there would go. All right, I already feel great about these 3 running backs here. I really love A.J. Dillon, but I do not need any more running backs at this time. I like Dalton Schultz here. You know, it's actually a good spot for him. Same thing with Joe Burrow. You know, I just don't like taking quarterbacks in the 6. I mean, he could still be there here at the 7. I still just not a huge fan of it. And there's still so many good wide receivers. I have Chris Godwin and Darnell Mooney ranked the highest here. And the 3, you know, this is another time where the 3 wide receivers kind of lean me towards that. So I'm going to take Chris Godwin here. We're still unsure, you know, when he's going to be fully healthy, when he'll be playing, but it's sounding like he's ahead of schedule. So there's a lot of good things coming out about how he's looking. So we'll see. I'll take him here. My wide receiver 3. Look at, we see Dalton Schultz and Joe Burrow go right there. I guess that makes sense. This is a lot lower than their average draft position at the moment, which I wouldn't be mad if you took either of them. I would definitely not take both of them, though. If you're going to take one of your tight ends or quarterbacks early, and by early I mean like anytime before like the 8th, 9th round, I would not recommend getting both of them. I kind of go one or the other. I think it really limits your upside. And in fantasy drafts, like, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for upside. I'm trying to win my league, and that's how you win leagues, is finding the upside. And in like a 3 wide receiver league, when your wide receiver 3 is going to be who knows, someone down here probably, like, it's just not ideal. But that definitely takes away the option of me going quarterback or tight end there. So we're going to keep looking at the running backs. I would definitely take A.J. Dillon if I'm going to take somebody here. And if I do take A.J. Dillon here, then I'm not looking at running backs probably until the very end of the draft. So I do like Darnell Mooney a lot, but I don't really have him in a different tier than a lot of these guys. And I think that him or someone else that I like that's in the same tier as him will still be available. And there's going to be nobody left with an A.J. Dillon's tier. So I'm going to get A.J. Dillon here and kind of see what happens with the wide receivers. So we see this run go. He goes right after. I mean, I kind of know that. So all the guys that are kind of ranked near him are all gone now. So I guess that didn't really pay off. That's part of the game that you're playing when you're at the end of the / beginning of the drafts, is that trying to wait for someone to come back to you is not always the best move. Sometimes you kind of got to risk it. I thought that it was possible, but it's not. Now you move on from it. Still not going tight end or quarterback here, though, as the guys that I liked are gone. and we still need a lot more wide receivers. I have Elijah Moore ranked here the highest. If you look at metrics for second-year guy breaking out, he hits so many of those thresholds. It's unbelievable. And like the production he had last year when he was on, it is really amazing, honestly. You know, it kind of went under the radar. And like what I was talking about earlier, I'm trying to win my league. And Elijah Moore, he has a possibility of really like paying off for me or anybody that takes him. You know, there's obviously some risk there where they drafted Garrett Wilson in the top 10. Zach Wilson, we have no idea what type of quarterback he's going to be. Besides that, he's an absolute dog. But there's definitely upside with him here. So I'm going to take Elijah Moore here. And I'm going to have a pick right after, so I can definitely take another person. And we're going to take DeAndre Hopkins, even though he's going to be out the first 6 weeks. You know, he doesn't have to start on my team. Obviously, you can see this by this right here. And I have him ranked the highest out of the wide receivers that are left. And I need the upside with my wide receivers, so I don't have to rely on him right away. And he's somebody who has insane upside, obviously. And obviously, again, the 3 wide receiver are a little bit more valuable. And this is really the place where I'll start looking at tight ends and quarterbacks. If one of these two, TJ or Dallas, were still there, I would definitely be more interested. But since they're not, I'm not really looking at that. I will say that since these people just drafted a quarterback and a tight end, I don't think that they'll take another one, even though it is very common for people to take backups early with the sleeper stuff, but in a real league that would never happen. So it'd be something I'd be totally okay with. And I want to take one of them here. I'll probably take a quarterback because I don't really love any of these tight ends. I like Zach Ertz, but I also have DeAndre Hopkins, which I'm never a fan of mixing those wide receivers and tight ends. It's something that limits the upside of it. But at this point in the draft, it's also not like a huge thing that should really deter me if I have a clear difference, but I view Dawson Knox and Zach Ertz pretty similarly. But I still need more depth at wide receiver, so I'm going to take somebody who I think is going to produce. He's going to be the wide receiver 1 probably as the season starts for his team, which is Robert Woods. And there's definitely obviously a good chance of Treylon Burks taking him over, but I don't think that happens right away. And we don't even know if that's going to happen, although it probably will. Oh, we see my guy Tom Brady go. That's definitely who I wanted there. And there's a really good chance that there's going to be a big run of quarterbacks now, just knowing how the ADP goes on Sleeper, which is kind of a dumb game to play since it's not what's going to actually happen, because I don't think that all these people will start taking backups in the 11th round. But I have Trey Lance now the highest out of this group here because I just think there's so much more upside with him. So I'm going to take Trey Lance here and just solidify my quarterback spot. I feel great about him, honestly, just growing with him more and more. Also have the opportunity to stack him with Debo, which a quarterback tight end would work, but quarterback wide receiver, that's like those stacks can really produce a lot of upside. It's not something that I particularly seek out that I'm like, oh, I have to get this, but if the opportunity presents itself like it just did, then I'm all for it. Yeah, so we see all the other quarterbacks go, so I'm glad I took him here. I think there's a lot higher chance of him being elite than like Zach Ertz or Dawson Knox being elite. So I think getting Trey Lance there was probably the right move. But I do need a tight end. I think there's a chance to take back up here. Oh, yeah, Cole Kmet. Huge fan of Cole Kmet this year. Going to get a ton of targets. Honestly, absolutely love how that quarterback tight end little situation worked out there. And at this point now, I'm kind of just looking for depth, looking for guys who might hit. MVS is definitely someone who could hit. He's on a new team with the Chiefs, with Tyreek Hill gone. I mean, there's so many things that line up for him. He just, hasn't really shown to be a consistent wide receiver, but there's obviously opportunity there, so definitely interested in taking him there. Nobody I absolutely love here. I do like taking other people's backups, so someone like Alexander Madison, I'm a huge fan of. There's obviously something there with Ronald Jones that could work out, just being with Kansas City. Isaiah Spiller, I think is more of another backup situation, but he will get some goal line work, I imagine, but I don't think anything to really be valuable unless Austin Eckler gets hurt. So, I mean, not like the biggest fan. I probably like Alexander Madison the most here. And also with Ronald Jones, there's been this whole Isaiah Pacheco or whatever going on that it sounds like he's just been dominating camp. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I do really like MVS though, so I think I'm going to take him here and get that spot. Oh, look at the Dalvin Cook team took Alexander Madison. I wonder if that's factored in at all in the ADP and stuff. I doubt it, but it'd be cool. Oh, look at him. That's the guy, the GOAT, George Pickens, dogging on fools lately. Looks so good in the preseason game. And like, I didn't make any videos about the preseason game. I don't really think there's anything you can or should take away from them, but it sure is fun to watch and talk about and everything. But realistically, especially for fantasy, there's nothing I can really take away from that much. It looks like Pickens has been getting a little bit of a bump in ADP because of everything coming out, which I get. There's just so much competition there with a rookie quarterback, or I guess Mitch will probably be starting, but not elite quarterback play with a bunch of other competition. It's really tough to see him being fantasy relevant this year, but we've thought that before about people like Justin Jefferson, and he had like the greatest rookie season ever at that point. So I'll take the upside. Screw it with George Pickens. Same thing with Khalil Herbert. You know, I kind of talking about backups that I like. That's one of my favorite things to do at the end of drafts. Take other people's backup. There's so many things that kind of work out well for it. I actually am not a huge fan of handcuffing my own players. There's a lot of studies behind this, but the idea is that if you only solidify the one running back spot, then you limit your upside there because you're just going to have that spot. Whereas if you have your running back and then the other person gets hurt, you're going to have that running back spot, another starting running back. But yeah, so I'm going to go Khalil Herbert here to finish off this team. Huge fan of, honestly. I really, really like this team and how it turned out. Go through it right here. We got Trey Lance, Jonathan Taylor, Leonard Fournette, Deebo Samuel, DJ Moore, Chris Godwin, Cole Kmet, Travis Etienne, AJ Dillon, Elijah Moore, DeAndre Hopkins, Robert Woods, MVS, George Pickens, and Khalil Herbert. So we see super wide receiver heavy here, but we still stacked the running backs early to get those elite guys. We got an elite wide receiver with other guys that have a lot of different upside and people who can be elite. Some safety here with Robert Woods. So I think it's a really balanced team. I really like it. Let me know what you guys think about it. We can also look at some other teams here. Honestly, I'm a fan of this team one. It's pretty nice here. Like I talked about, not a huge fan of doubling up here, but relatively speaking, I like the team. Honestly, like this team a lot here. Devontae Adams, CeeDee Lamb, Kyle Pitts, Breece Hall, Mike Williams, J.K. Dobbins, Miles Sanders, Juju Smith, Jalen Hurts, Brandon Ayuk. I honestly absolutely love that team. It's kind of the zero RB strategy, not fully since Breece Hall's here, but Breece Hall is your running back one when you go Devontae Adams, CeeDee Lamb, Kyle Pitts, and then also having another high upside guy like Mike Williams and J.K. Dobbins. Honestly, absolutely love that team. We see more of another kind of zero RB strategy with JJ, Jamar, AJ Brown, T. Higgins. That's an absolutely filthy wide receiver core. Darren Waller, Sutton. I love that. Pretty nice. Some of these other teams, though, not huge fans of these teams right here. But yeah, let me know what you guys think of it. I'm working on finalizing my rankings. I'm going to probably be dropping those videos starting next week. I'm not exactly sure. In the meantime, I'll be doing some more mock draft videos. You guys have been absolutely loving those, so I'm just going to keep pumping those out. Try to talk a little bit more to get more information out. But if you do have any video ideas, let me know. I'm all for it. The season is coming up pretty hot. My drafts are just about to start, so I want to get everybody ready. So let me know what you think. Let me know if you guys got any ideas for videos. I hope this was helpful. If it wasn't, also let me know about that. I got no problem with it. So until next time, guys, later.